all the infinite variations of yin and yang. When the pendulum swings in favor of one, it eventually swings back in favor of its opposite, and thus the balance of the universe is maintained. On Earth, this balance was disrupted by a nuclear holocaust which rendered technology useless and devastated the planet's population.
Photos for the article were really great.
But then Perry gave him the "a good reporter makes him great" speech. Anyways, I'm gonna help Martha in the kitchen.
All right.
So don't be late. Don't work too hard.
Today, not too.
Right now in the marketplace.
Are you the one they call Superman? I am Thor of Asgard, and it is customary where I am from for great warriors to battle.
I don't want to fight you.
That wasn't a choice!
Stay down.
Wind? I will show you the elements.
My mother made this suit.
Mama's boy. Let's finish it. Asgard 1! Krypton 0!
There's only one person I know who might be able to go toe-to-toe with Omni-Man and come out on top.
Killed him!
Now, in 50 years when he's old, what difference does it make?
He'd have a life!
Did seeing that man lose his life disturb you? Did it hurt? Well, let's see how you handle this.
My obligations don't end at the borders of my dimension.
You don't seem to understand. Earth isn't yours to conquer.
Not gods. We don't decide who lives and who dies.
You want to die for this planet? Fine! Finally, a worthy challenge.
Is that so?
That was quite the show you put up there. Let's do it this way. This is my first and only warning.
Get the fuck out of my country.
You know, there is one thing I can't stand, and that is a bully. Stand down, Homelander. You don't want this fight.
Shut up!
There's a special place waiting for you in the Phantom Zone.
You are not worthy of my respect. You are simply bad product.
I'm gonna blast one of those shit son of yours! And every goddamn person you know!
I am not the man who killed Homelander.
Right now, I wish to heaven that I were, but I'm not.
Cheat death, don't they? And I couldn't bring back the ones I needed most. The ones I loved the most are just memories now. vacuum. See their faces now, hero. They counted on you. She counted on you. But there is another name I go by. The name she called me. It was good. And instead, I used it as a mask to hide from the world when they needed me most. Do they still need that Man of Steel? Do they still believe in the Kryptonian? I will give them a reason to believe again. Open your eyes, Clark. Look at them, Clark, as they once looked at you. Rage against loss, against fear, against those who've been denied. Give them hope that when they look to the sunrise, the Superman will be there.
Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on Variant, I answer the age-old question, is Superman the most powerful superhero? Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than the Ninja Turtles love pizza. I'm your host, Aris Quinones. Today I'm going to talk about something very controversial in the comic book community. Is Superman really the most powerful superhero? It's up there with can Batman beat Superman, which I actually did a video on answering that question, so you can go back and watch that video after this one if you'd like. But today it's time to find out if Superman is actually the strongest there is. Ever since superheroes were invented, friends would argue about who is the most powerful or strongest. I've done it, I'm sure you've done it, we all do it, it's fun to talk about. But even though we all do it, we rarely all come to an agreement on who's really the most powerful, because we all have our own personal favorite superheroes. We all have reasons, scenarios, and so on why this person is stronger than X, Y, and Z. So today I'm going to try to put this argument to an end. Now, given not all of you are going to agree with my answer, no matter what my answer is, because, well, we all have different opinions. Which is perfectly fine. I say it all the time, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. That's what makes talking about this stuff fun. Just don't be rude to each other in the comment section, because I want to keep Variant a community where everyone can state their own opinion without having someone cursing them out or being a douche simply because they don't agree. So help me keep this conversation civil in the comment section. With that said, however, I think I'm going to give a pretty good argument on why I do think Superman is the most powerful superhero ever. That's right, I think Superman is the most powerful superhero ever. Whether we're talking heroes in DC, Marvel, or anything else. I even think he can beat Goku. You heard me correctly, I think Superman can beat Goku, which is like one of the most controversial battles on the internet right now. But now some of you are like, okay, you think Superman is the most powerful / strongest superhero, but why, Eris? Give me your reasons. To you I say, ever so politely of course, I'm about to. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the several times Superman showed us why his name is freaking Superman. One time, in order to test his limits of strength, he placed himself inside a machine that duplicated the weight of the Earth. That's 5.97 sextillion tons, in case you were wondering. He then proceeded to bench press the weight for 5 days straight. What are the results, you're asking? He literally dropped a single drop of sweat because he was away from the yellow sun for those 5 days, so his powers were diminishing. Superman also once held a miniature black hole in his mother freaking hand. Some crazy scientist managed to contain a small black hole within a magnetic containment device, which had started to come apart by the time the Justice League got their hands on it. So to prevent the entire solar system from being sucked in, Superman just wrapped his hand around it. Layman's terms, he was able to hold something that can suck the entire solar system in. That's insane! He even sealed tears in space and time with his heat vision. There was a tear in reality caused by an ancient deity, so Superman just sealed those tears with his heat vision. No biggie. He also survived the detonation of a Sun Eater that was filled with red sun radiation. This feat of power is really impressive because the Sun Eater was filled with red sun radiation, which robs him of his powers. How much red sun radiation was inside this thing? Well, it eats entire suns, so I'd guess a whole heck of a lot. Besides some of his awesome feats over the years, let me give you a brief power breakdown of the Man of Steel. Again, I say very brief because he has way too many powers to mention them all. He has super speed, coming in just a little bit slower than the Flash, super strength, which has been depicted as essentially limitless in the comics. Also, he has super agility, he could fly, and has heat vision and frost breath, amongst other powers like having enhanced senses, like hearing, eyesight, almost impenetrable steel-like skin, and the list goes on. So mentioning those feats and powers alone would make a lot of people be like, okay, maybe he is the most powerful superhero. But I'm going to keep furthering my reasoning on why I think Superman is the most powerful superhero. Every superhero matchup that tries to see who's the strongest usually involves blank versus Superman, like Hulk versus Superman, Thor versus Superman, Goku versus Superman, Shazam versus Superman. It's always, or rather most of the time, someone versus Superman when it comes to seeing who's the most powerful or strongest character. So if he isn't the strongest superhero, why is it that the majority of the time it's always blank versus Superman? He's always the one constant. I think there's a lot to be said with that mere observation alone, that if you want to prove how strong or powerful a character is, you automatically put him up against or compare him to Superman. But why is that? Why Superman? Because there are a ton of other superheroes that technically compare in physical strength and power. I mean, you have heavyweights like Martian Manhunter, Shazam, Hulk, Sentry, Wonder Woman, and the list goes on. What sets Superman apart from the several different heroes in comics that technically matches power on paper? Well, what sets Superman apart from every other powerful superhero is that he's not just a character with incredible power. I mean, he is, but he's also more than that. He's an ideal and essentially a Christ-like figure. His very reason for being created was to inspire and be something more than any person or being can be. He's the perfect man, hence his name, Superman, but it's also why they call him the Man of Tomorrow. Simply put, the very idea of Superman is that he's meant to be limitless, or as they say, overpowered. Hence his power is constantly evolving and growing over the years. He's not meant to have limits, and is still finding out new powers and abilities about himself, like his newest power, his super flare. He will always overcome any obstacle that is put in his way one way or another, because that's not who Superman is, it's what Superman is. He's not meant to lose or be relatable. He's a god, essentially. So I guess what I'm saying is throw away all the stats of how much the Hulk can lift, or how much Martian Manhunter can lift, or what Shazam can do, and you still have the very concept of what Superman is, which is a character that is not meant to have any limitations or boundaries, because again, Superman is an ideal, not just a character. So while other superheroes may compare in strength and powers, they lack Superman's reasoning for existence. Superman is meant to be the most powerful superhero. He's meant to have no limits. He's meant to be overpowered. That's why he's Superman. That said, that doesn't mean I think Superman could win every single fight, and obviously he's lost several fights in the comics over the years, but just because you're the most powerful or best at something doesn't mean you're gonna win all the time. On a little bit of a random note, Flash is technically one of the most powerful superheroes out there. Think about it. If he wanted to, he could just technically go back in time and kill the kid versions of any superhero or villain he wanted, then come back to the present and boom, the fight's over because that hero or villain no longer exists. But of course, I don't think he is the most powerful hero, and the same goes for any other powerful superhero for all the reasons I mentioned earlier about Superman, but Flash is definitely up there. Anyway, this is just my personal 2 cents. I know not everyone is going to agree with me, and I don't expect everyone to, so leave your thoughts down in the comment section. Did you know kryptonite didn't originate in the comic books? Crazy, right? It was actually first introduced in the character's 1940s radio show, but only because the actor who voiced the Man of Steel, Bud Collyer, wanted some time off, and they needed some sort of plot device to explain his absence. It was in 1943's radio episode, The Meteor from Krypton, that Clark Kent first felt the negative effects of the radioactive remains of his home planet. Left feeling weak and sick from just being near it, this gave Collyer his holiday and introduced a major part of Superman's mythos, which first appeared in comics years later in Superman 61 in 1949. When you buy a domain name from domain.com, you get the power to influence and control what people find when they search for you online. No domain extension will help you tell your story like a .com or .net domain name. Domain.com is affordable, reliable, and easy to use. The guys at domain.com gave variants an awesome offer. Get 15% off domain.com's already affordable domain names and web hosting when you use the coupon code variants at checkout. So when you think domain names, think domain.com. First up for Wednesday, September 2nd, we have Deadpool vs. Thanos issue 1. These two characters share the same ex, Lady Death, so it'll be interesting to see them fight. Now we have Batman Beyond issue 4. Everyone knew he wasn't good enough to be Batman, and now Tim's mistake has put humanity at risk. Here we have Injustice Gods Among Us year 4 issue 9. The battle rages on at Themyscira, where Poseidon is about to sink the entire island. And finally we have Detective Comics issue 44. This is the final issue for writer Brian Buccellato. He's had an amazing run on this title so far, and I'm sad it's coming to an end. But we'll see how it ends when Joker's daughter reveals her plans to take on Batman and his task force. And that'll bring another episode of Variant to a close. But remember, you can always like our Variant Facebook page, keep up with the show and all things comic related. You can also follow Variant on Twitter at Variant.